Welcome to the BEASTwriter podcast. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we're going to be discussing and answering your questions for Fan Fridays. Fan Fridays is something that I developed last week, and it's a good way for me to engage with all of you during my podcast because your thoughts matter. Now, I don't disagree with anyone's thoughts just because their thoughts may not align with my thoughts or analysis or whatever you want to call it, but please don't try to call me out without even watching my podcast. How are you going to call someone out on a podcast that you never even watched and then say things and put words in your mouth that you didn't even say because they never watched the podcast? It makes zero sense. Watch the podcast first, okay? Maybe learn something, a thing or two, and then preach. Or if you don't learn anything, at least watch a podcast so then you can have an argument with me. Otherwise, you're just fighting yourself blind. It makes zero sense. All right, that's all I got to say about that. Let's get to your questions. Thank you so much for your love and support from all my fans, or as I like to say, my loyal supporters. Let's get down to it. All right. First question is from, and if I mispronounce your name, I apologize in advance, Drew Dianorson. So Drew Dianorson asks, I'm very interested in what the draft will be like next year. Any thoughts on what our first rounder will be? Offense or defense? Drew, that's a great question, and I like to do my forward thinking ahead of time. If you don't follow me on Twitter, or if you do follow me on Twitter, you know that I actually do and cover all college games as well. Not every single college game, but college games as well. And I build up my mock draft in my big board starting last year for this year's draft. So I always stay 1 year ahead. And that gives me a good barometer of which players to gauge. How it typically works and the scouting process works is every team runs it differently, but this is kind of the general rule, is you have a list of 300 players or 300 prospects that are supposed to be coming out, right? Typically they focus on the seniors because those are guarantees to come out. But if you're a junior or if you're even a sophomore, even a true freshman like Derek Stingley from LSU last year, or Patrick Surtain the second who was a sophomore, you really got to look and key in on those players. All right. So back to my point, it's way too early to tell, and getting back to your question, it's way too early to tell which direction the San Francisco 49ers will go without even knowing the draft position, what they entail to do in free agency, which free agents they want to retain, which free agents they want to go after, what they're going to do with Fred Warner. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered first in order for me to even put out prospects or names of players that I think would be a good cultural fit for that team. I just pointed out Derek Stingley and Patrick Surtain the second. Those two guys, if you're looking for a corner, are at the top of my big board. I said it since last year that they were the best players if they were to come out of this year's draft. That's forward thinking, 2 years ahead. Yes, check the receipts. Check the Twitter receipts. I said that. And the same holds true this year. And I think Daniel Jeremiah, move the sticks. I think Charles Davis would agree that Patrick Surtain II and Derek Stingley out of LSU were the best cornerbacks if they were to come out last year, or this year, if they were eligible. All right? Okay, so getting back to my point, it's way too early, like I said. However, those are two cornerbacks. If the 49ers are looking for a cornerback, we really got to see what they're going to do with Fred Warner because he's playing in the last year of his rookie contract next year. And we all know what happened to DeForest Buckner when he was heading into the final year of his fifth-year option on that rookie deal. They shipped him out because he wanted $20 million a year. Just like that. Gone. Like the wind. It's like running away from someone you really don't want to see and then bouncing back and be like, hey, where'd you go, man? Gone. Yesterday's news. Messed up. But NFL is a business, like I said, all right? So I'm going to throw out a name if Fred Warner is not retained, somehow shockingly traded, because the 49ers don't want to pay him $20 million a year. Because you got to think about it. If they pay Fred Warner what he's due, you have Nick Bosa coming up in a couple years. What are you going to do about him? You have to first wipe your hands clean of Jimmy Garoppolo and then go on from there, and then Dee Ford, wipe his contract, and then go from there, and a few other players. All right, but getting back to the draft, like I said, it's too early to tell, but Micah Parsons from Penn State, if they need a linebacker, Penei Sewell from Oregon. Again, I don't know the draft position. Those guys are typically supposed to go in the top 10 on my big board right now. We just don't know yet. All right. Second question from Constant Season on Twitter. Would you love? Would you love? No, would love your take on the starting corners next year for the Niners. Biggest question mark given contract situations. Great question, Constant Season. Yes, and my answer simply is, what are they going to do with K'Waun Williams? I know a lot of people are talking about Jason Verrett. A lot of people are talking about Emmanuel Mosley, but Emmanuel Mosley is an exclusive rights free agent. He's an ERFA, so he's going to be re-signed regardless, so he's fine. The wild card for me is K'Waun Williams, because K'Waun Williams does so much for that defense. He allows Robert Saleh to use him as a blitzing defender, run defender, as well as the slot cornerback. And as you know, I look at K'Waun Williams, I hope you look at K'Waun Williams as a starter. And the reason I say that is because 60 to 65% of the time, the 49ers are in the nickel-based 4-2 defense. 4-2-5. All right? They're in a 4-2-5 set. And when you do that, you have an extra defensive back, and that defensive back is K'Waun Williams. K'Waun Williams plays an aggressive style of run defense as well as in pass coverage. If you look at this style of play, I compared it on Twitter, as I cover all 32 NFL teams, to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who is listed as a free safety but also plays that slot corner role. And you want to take a look at Pittsburgh Steelers' Mike Hilton. Those are similar players who have similar skill sets and are used in the similar schemes based on their respective positions. All right, so K'Waun Williams, what they choose to do or not to do with him is going to be something that I'm going to look forward to, because he was somebody that they signed on a one-year deal back in 2017, John Lynch's first year as GM. So you kind of want to retain these players, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of money that's forked out to D Ford, Jimmy Garoppolo, no dead money, but Jimmy Garoppolo. Who else we got? Oh, Eric Armstead. Go figure. So, a lot of decisions. All right. All right. Brina asks, putting yourself in GM John Lynch's shoes, if you can build yourself a dream team using anyone in all 32 teams from the last few years, who would they be and why? Great question, Brina. Great question. Well, I think you can plug and play anyone in Kyle Shanahan's offense because he's the offense genius that he is. So, let's just roll it back and talk about the other side of the ball, the defense. I think if they stick with that coaching staff, they're going to stick with a 4-3 base. And Robert Saleh, I think you would bring back DeForest Buckner. First order of business, let's bring back the shovel. If you guys don't get that, that's his sack celebration. I posted on Twitter, his sacks. Okay. Anyways, DeForest Buckner. Aaron Donald manning the middle at defensive tackle. Then on the edges, in that 4-3, you can plug Nick Bosa. Why not? Keep him there. And then TJ Watt. TJ Watt plays as an edge rusher as a 3-4 outside linebacker in Pittsburgh Steelers defense. However, you can shrink him to an edge rusher in a 4-3 scheme as well. I would have them set the edges. As for linebacker, you know how I feel about Fred Warner. That's my boy. Fred Warner stays in at middle linebacker, quarterbacking this defense. On either side, he has Darius Leonard. Let's bring him over, along with Buckner from the Indianapolis Colts. The other side, let's bring in Khalil Mack from the Chicago Bears because he can be a rushing linebacker, as well as in coverage. He does a really well job. And then in the secondary, we can just stick in the NFC West and go with Jalen Ramsey, who's a shutdown corner. True shutdown corner, can take one side of the field away, and then add in, wait for it, Budda Baker. Budda Baker is listed as a free safety, but they use him more of a strong safety. If you watch all his film, like I do, and study the Cardinals, like I do, similar to Tyrann Mathieu, the strong safety for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, that's who I would have in the secondary. And last but not least, Jair Alexander. If you followed me on Twitter, like I said, Jair Alexander is having a hell of a year. And he's listed as an All-Pro, first-team All-Pro in my grading system before PFF released theirs. Alright, cool. Next question, James Guerra. Love your podcast. What's the likelihood that Fred Warner returns next year? Well, goes back to the $20 million question, right? Well, he's going to be due a front-loaded deal. He's vastly underpaid on that rookie deal. Bobby Wagner gets paid $18 million annually. Fred Warner gets paid less than $1 million. I've been saying it in my podcast in the description below. Go ahead and look at it. I'll connect the dots in my podcast, so I'll do all the legwork for you. You don't have to go searching through all the podcasts. I'll just put it in there for you. Plug and play. Plug and play, get it? Okay, that'll be coming up. Anyways, yeah, anytime someone's getting paid $18 million and you only get paid less than a million, basically what does that come down to? 5-6% of that, if that, and you're outperforming that guy that's the highest paid middle linebacker in the NFL, of course you're going to be due for a front loaded contract. If you do the math, that's $34 million in guaranteed money that he's already overdue because he was balling out of control last year, outplaying Bobby Wagner, and he's doing it again this year. So of course he's going to be due a front loaded contract. Duh. Secondly, do I think he's going to be traded? Yeah, I put it out there that it's a possibility. Now, will it happen? I'm not saying he will be traded. I'm saying it's a possibility in a scenario that can play out, so don't be surprised if it does. Okay? We all seen what happened to Buckner, like I said, so playing on the last year of his rookie deal, so we all know how this is going to go. All right? That's that. There's a lot of moving parts that have to be made in order to retain Fred Warner. First of all, you have to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, trade him. And I don't think you're going to get a first round pick for him. I think you're going to get a third round pick for him. Because think about it logically. The 49ers gave up a second round pick for him. So has he regressed? I mean, you can kind of use that as leverage, right? If they're trying to trade him, is he really worth even a second round pick? There's leverage there. So I would say a third round pick would be more the ideal situation and trading value for him. So get rid of his contract off the books, 24.1 million, I believe it is. Get rid of D Ford's contract off the books, wipe your hands clean to him, and then you got to start with the offensive line. Just restart the offensive line, get rid of Weston Richburg, who hasn't played it down in I don't know how long, and then also get rid of Lincoln Tomlinson. Just start clean slate, new offensive line, let's go, and go from there, because you're going to have to re-sign Fred Warner along with how many free agents? 25 plus free agents that are coming up? Where's the money going to come from? Don't grow on trees, fellas. Don't grow on trees. All right. Chris M. Just saw your defensive tackle Javon Kinla podcast. Great breakdown. Why is he struggling? And do you really think he will bounce back with 5+ sacks? Yes. So for those who don't know, I've been kind of going back and forth with this guy named GV. So GV doesn't even look at my podcast. He just talks like he knows what he's saying and then comes at me saying that I called Javon Kinla a bust. No, I did not call him a bust. I called him a proverbial boomer bust. So don't put words in it. Secondly, how are you going to call me out on my own podcast when you don't even watch my podcast? He's like getting back to me on my podcast without even watching it. Like every answer or every question he has, I answer it in the podcast. So just watch the podcast, dude. Just watch it. That's all I have to do. Or you can just swipe left and not follow me. I don't care. But don't waste my time trying to argue with me. It just makes zero sense. So why am I saying that? Because he said that I called Javon Kinla a bust. I did not call him a bust. That is far from the truth. If you watch my podcast, if you watched at the end of the podcast, you will know I said we'd have 5+ sacks next year. At least 5. I even went as high as 8, I believe. Why? Here's why. He's going to have Nick Bosa there. Nick Bosa makes everyone around him better. Does Eric Armstead do that? We're seeing it? No, he doesn't. But Eric Armstead and Bosa, the combination, will help the unit as a whole generate pressure up front. Okay? But what's wrong with Javon Kinla struggling? It goes back to his lack of pass rush moves, which I pointed out on Twitter before he was even drafted by the 49ers. I said he plays with a high pad level and gets out leveraged. Those 3 things. And those 3 components you need to do down in the trenches at a very high level. Unfortunately, Javon Kinla is losing those lost art of fundamentals, and we're seeing it translate at the NFL level. It's plain and simple. Like I said, I like Kinlaw. I do, but consistency is key in the NFL. Okay, next question. Got a lot of questions today. Kevin Sanchez on Facebook says, you seem to have motivated Eric Armstead in a contract year. He has now reverted back to being the player I thought he was 4 years prior. What up with him and what's up with him and agreed we overpaid? So I'm just gonna say this. Like, silence is golden. Silence is golden. Stay hungry. Stay hungry. I'm hungry right now. Just doing. Stay hungry. Stay hungry. I don't know what else to say. That's it. Justin DeLoya asks, do you think Jaquiski Tartt will return next year? No, I do not think Jaquiski Tartt will return next year. He just ended his season again. If you haven't heard the news, his season is now officially over. He's done for the year. Jaquiski Tartt, you're my boy. For those who, again, don't know, I keep in touch with a few players. Jaquiski Tartt was one of those I would routinely see in the offseason. So, yeah, I feel bad for him, but I don't think he's going to return to the 49ers, and simply because they don't have the cap space for him. I know there's some teams that are out there that are vying for his services, and he had a lot of pre-draft visits coming out of college. In fact, I know 7, which I will put out in a later podcast, who will be potential suitors. All right, so no, I do not see Jaquiski Tartt coming back next year. They just don't have the money. Jerry Yang, is this Jerry Yang from my fraternity, Jerry Yang, like Yahoo Jerry Yang, or is this jokingly Jerry Yang? I'm thinking it's a joke, but anyway, that's just his name. I don't know. You never know. This is from YouTube, a YouTube comment question. He said, John Lynch seems to draft better in the later rounds than the top rounds. Do you think he's overthinking those picks, or just bad luck, or something else? Well, that's a loaded question, Jerry Yang. No, I'm joking. I'm playing with you. No, it's a great question. I think John Lynch, in my honest opinion, he plays it safe. He doesn't want the media writing him for making a wrong decision or going against conventional wisdom. That's my honest opinion. He did it in 2017 when he drafted Solomon Thomas. I said for them to trade back again and get Derek Barnett in the late teens. It was on NFL Network. Yes, that tweet went straight up to NFL Network. Okay. Secondly, 2018, they drafted right tackle Mike McGlinchey. Another reach. If you saw my Twitter, you would know I was in that war room. I asked him how many Pro Bowl players they had rated on the board. He said 12. And McGlinchey was drafted 9th. So how come he hasn't made a Pro Bowl yet? Because they reached for me, diminishing the value of the pick. I said Roquan Smith, you trade up for him no matter what. That's what I said. Draft day reference. Okay. Fast forward to this year, 2020. I said the team would reach for Javon Kinla. What did they do? Reach for Javon Kinla. Everyone was writing me. Now what? We're seeing what I'm talking about, guys. This is why you follow me. Plain and simple. Check the receipts. Check the receipts. All right. So I just think he plays it safe. I just pointed out 3 first-round picks in which he did that. And as a result, it hurt the team in the long run. Now, can he bounce back from it? Sure. But will he bounce back for it? Who knows? These are hard-pressed questions that you got to ask yourself. And I really appreciate, because I used to be a 49er fan. Again, I am not a 49er fan any longer. Once you cover the 49ers or any NFL team as part of the media, you have to distance yourself from that fandom perspective. People who've been following me since 2000, when did I start this? 2012. So I started NinerFans.com in 2012, and I was known as a diehard Niner fan. Like, I was on KPIX, KTVU. Remember when they had that unruly fan thing during the divisional playoffs? I think it was 2011 under Harbaugh, and the fans were all like getting crazy scared at Candlestick. Well, they featured me as an unruly fan, but I was even unruly. They asked me to stand up and just start screaming. Yes, KPIX asked me to start screaming. And then everyone was saying, oh my gosh, did you see Ryan Sakamoto? He was unruly on KPIX. I was like, huh, that's how the media works. No, I'm joking. No, but I am not joking. That's what really happened. And yeah, Section 20 front row. Or sorry, not Section 20. Section 14, row A, front row on the 20-yard line. That's where my family's had season tickets since 1991 at Candlestick. So I was front and center, engaged with a lot of the players over the course of the years. Even before that, I did. But yeah, it's one of those things that you live and you learn. But that's that. All right. Well, that'll be it today. Oh, I have another question. Man, sliding in my DM. Okay. What kind of question is this? Oh, this is a workout question. Oh yeah, if you guys want workout questions, go ahead and shoot them my way too, and I'll answer those for you. So this person says, I'm trying to get abs. What do you suggest I do for workouts? She said, please don't use my name. She said, please don't use. Okay, well, we'll be confidential. Um, General rule of thumb, whenever I personal train somebody, it's everybody's body operates differently. So no matter what I say, or no matter what the best bodybuilder says or the best personal trainer says, no one knows your body better than you. That's first and foremost. Secondly, different workouts work best for different people. Your height, weight plays a role in the workouts that you do. How strong are your hip flexors plays a role in the workouts that you do, as well as how strong your core is. So I really can't tell you what workouts work, because if I simply just gave you a workout without even knowing your past history or your prior history, if you had any injuries, things like that, it's hard for me to really recommend workouts for certain body parts. But general rule of thumb, again, I like to do hanging leg raises. It's more of an advanced movement. Basically, you're holding a pull-up bar, I guess, and you're just swinging your legs up and down, up and down. And that's posted on this YouTube channel from 2 years ago or something like that. You can watch, you can scroll through, you'll find some crazy workouts that I do over the course of, I don't know, my years of competing, which is 5 years running now, 4 years running. But yeah, hanging leg raises I like because it works all eight of your abs. Yes, you have eight, not six, and you can really focus on the obliques. So a great exercise for stretching and a great exercise to work out the obliques and build up that core strength. Now, for something that's a little bit on the beginner level, I don't like doing crunches because I think it's a lot of stress on the neck. You see a lot of people when they do crunches, they roll their neck forward, and that's going to throw off what's called your kinetic chain. Anytime your kinetic chain is thrown off, your alignment's going to be off and your posture is going to be bad. So I like to do for abs is, first of all, your cardio. I know it sounds crazy, but cardio, you'll get abs. If you do cardio and just eat right, you're going to get abs. You will. Think about it. If you eat healthy and then you do cardio, where's the body fat going to come from? You look at all these runners, right? These marathon runners. They eat well and they hit cardio all the time. Look at them. They're shredded. They have like 3% body fat. Your abs will not show unless you have less than 10% body fat. So when someone says, "Oh, how much body fat you have?" You're like, "I don't know." Well, you can tell just by looking at someone as a general gauge. Like, "Oh, he has about 13, 15%." When I'm in that foreigner's locker room, I can always tell. "Oh man, that guy has 36% body. That guy's up there, like up there." And or he's not. Or you look at him like, "Damn, he got some abs." So, funny story about the locker room. Mike, getting back to Mike McGlinchey, first thing he said when he got drafted and he saw me in the locker room, he says, "Hey, come here. I gotta tell you something." I said, "What?" He's like, "I'm gonna ask you a serious question." I said, "Okay, what?" He's like, "How do you get your arms that big?" And I look at him, I said, "Come train with me." And he looks at me, and I literally thought he was like he got the deer in the headlights. Like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, come work out with me." Chris Culliver did it in the off season. He worked out with me. Tremaine Brock, a few other guys. Um, yeah, work out with me. Aaron Lynch. So work out with me, guys. Work out with me. No, but yeah, that's just one of those things that I love to do is I love to coach people. I love to work out with people, and it's really good stress reliever. So getting back to your question on abs, it's perfect. Do diet, clean eating, and cardio. If you can't do one, do the other. And as far as workouts are concerned, you can do a crunch, but just be careful and be mindful that you're not rolling your head for it or your neck for it, because you're going to throw off your kinetic chain. You're going to develop neck problems and your posture is going to be off. All right. Well, that'll be it for today. Thank you for, oh gosh, another one. What the heck is this thing? This thing's not even, okay, hold on. I got one more question and then I got to go because I'm tired. I'm joking. I'm not tired. Well, I am tired, but I'll be here for you guys. Okay, what's another question? All right, Ryan. So some guy says, "What are you hearing about Fred Warner?" Well, I'm not hearing anything. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing it out there. That's just something that I can see playing out, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Because if you look at the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, you're going to see and find out that the stars align when it comes to DeForest Buckner and Fred Warner. Only in Buckner's case, they could have re-signed him. In Fred Warner's case, yeah, they could re-sign him, but is he going to take a hometown discount or a backloaded contract? I don't know. If I'm Fred Warner, I'm not taking anything less, like I said on Twitter, than 20 million per year with a lot of guarantees for salary cap, injury, things of that nature. And it's front loaded. So I'm going to ask for at least 60 million. No, not 60 million, but you guys get like at least 50 million guaranteed for sure. For sure. He's earned it. He's already 34 million guaranteed in the hole. What's another 16 on, like, let's say a 4 or 5 year deal? You average that out over the life of the contract, that's only 4 million. Just saying, do the math. All right. That'll be it for today or tonight. I'm tired from the gym. I had a 3 hour workout and it's time for me to go sleep. All right. Thank you for tuning in. BEASTwriter out.